Living a materialist lifestyle can provide some dopamine hits when you buy new stuff, but after a while you will get bored of the product or service that you bought, and then you will need something new to get the same dopamine high. It honestly doesn't end. You will never be permanently satisfied from any material possessions or physical pleasures. That's just how the human brain works. The materialist lifestyle and hedonism also require a lot of work to keep going if you are always buying new stuff. It's just not sustainable unless you have a really good job, were born into wealth, or won the lottery. A lot of average people are driven into crippling debt trying to keep up with their neighbors and friends' materialistic pursuits. Personally, I have tasted both the materialist and minimalist lifestyles, and I can say that I prefer practical minimalism over materialism. The main positive thing that having a bunch of money brought me was some sense of security and comfort, knowing that I didn't have to struggle to pay the bills or put food on the table. I had some margin for error and I could afford to make some mistakes, but buying the latest product like a good little consumer wasn't really worth it in the end. As a stupid young adult, I came into some easy money. This allowed me to experience hyper-materialism for a number of years without having to worry about money. I wasn't a millionaire or anything, but if I wanted a decent car or motorcycle or the latest electronics, I could buy it and not go broke. If I wanted to party every weekend or go to a trip to Asia or Europe, I could do it. I'll admit that I did have some interesting experiences and completed most of the items on my bucket list, but after some time those good feelings disappear, only memories remain, and with more time even they fade away. Now that I am relatively poor again, living on low disability income, I am back at square one. Wealth doesn't mean much if you can't sustain it indefinitely, but everyone dies in the end and they can't take anything with them. I guess I am thankful that I was able to have some of those experiences, but it doesn't really change anything right now. I can see how pointless and fleeting life really is. None of it really matters, although if I hadn't had those experiences, I might feel differently. Those who were born predisposed to be financially successful will be able to fuel such lifestyles for longer, but even many of them have an expiry date if they aren't careful. They might eventually end up in a similar destination when they are old and crusty. I was just not smart enough and too lazy to keep it going for longer. But you can actually get more out of life with less effort and money. Let me tell you a quick story. When I was on one of my travels in Asia, I got a stomach virus which got really bad, so I had to go to the hospital, and eventually I went home early. The symptoms didn't really go away after returning home, so I became kind of a shut-in, or what the Japanese call a hikikomori. I barely left my home for years. I only went outside to buy groceries, see the doctor, and visit my mother. I ended up playing a massive multiplayer online game on my computer for several years, almost non-stop. I did really enjoy the game and met some cool people in the gaming groups that I joined. The game was also quite complex and the learning curve was steep, so it taught me some discipline and sharpened my mind. I also got respect from the fellow nerds in the game because I became quite good at playing, and I felt more accepted there than during any of the nights out partying or traveling with my so-called friends. But it cost me only a fraction of what my materialist adventures did. From my view, there's two reasons why I spent so much money on materialism. The first reason would be mimic theory. When humans see others who are successful, they want to copy or mimic their behavior. That's what I did because of what I saw on the media and the internet. The second reason why I spent so much money was to flaunt my wealth through my possessions, to get respect from my male friends and attention from females. But the return on investment was very poor for me because I didn't have the other requirements to take full advantage of this lifestyle, such as good looks and good social skills. If I could go back in time with the knowledge I have now, I would have saved and invested most of the money that I had and lived a more comfortable minimalist lifestyle. I might have still done some traveling, but not nearly as much as I did. Once you've seen one tropical beach or one big city, you've seen most of them. I would have also bought a cheap motorcycle. I didn't really need the Japanese crotch rocket that I had. I never even really drove that fast with it, but it was all inevitable based on the circumstances and my mindset at the time. That's just how it was meant to go. So while I am not pleased with my decisions, I don't really wallow in regret or shame either. I would agree with Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius that you don't really need many material possessions to be happy. Personally, I enjoy simple things like having a cold beer on a warm sunny day, going out hiking or biking, making these videos, and I still play that MMO video game from time to time. Social status maxing is also less important for me now that I live in solitude as kind of a hermit. I don't have to care what other people think because I don't really interact with them. However, you can get social status through other ways than acquiring a lot of wealth or being good looking. For example, you can pursue excellence in an area that you are interested in and get respect from your peers. That's if you can find motivation to do it, not everyone can. Other ways of getting social status include being virtuous in a community that actually values that. You can be reliable, generous, helpful, or share wisdom, and some people will genuinely appreciate that. Just don't be naive or gullible. Watch out for the snakes out there who will take advantage of good people. Remember to like and subscribe. If you have any thoughts on materialism or minimalism, let me know in the comments. See you in the next video. Okay, thanks, bye.